The morning after Kambili decided to leave the city felt heavier than grief. Her room, once filled with loud dreams and foolish expectations, now felt like a graveyard of regrets. Her small bag lay on the bed, the same bag she carried the day she left her village, with pride too big for her thin shoulders and hope too loud for her quiet fate. She folded her only wrapper. She folded the mirror she once used to hype herself. She folded her pride, too. "I am tired," she whispered, voice breaking. "Tired of waiting for Odogwu that does not know I exist. Tired of suffering. Tired of pretending." Her reflection stared back at her. Ugly, tired, worn out. For the first time, she didn't hiss at herself. She just sighed. "Let me go home. Maybe Mama was right. Maybe city men are not for me." The sun had almost disappeared behind the tall palm trees when Kambili stepped out of the lonely bush path, wiping sweat from her forehead. Her slippers were almost white with dust, her tiny bag hung loosely on her shoulder, and her breathing was slow and tired. She didn't even know she looked exhausted. In her mind, she was still that high-class woman, waiting for her Odogwu. Just as she reached the open road, a quiet hum of an engine approached, slow, gentle, almost thoughtful. The black car. Exactly the kind of car she had always described. Exactly the kind of car she had been boasting about since morning. But instead of slowing down, the car drove past her a little, then suddenly stopped. Kambili blinked, confused. The reverse lights came on. The car backed up, slowly, very slowly, until it stopped directly in front of her. Her heart began to beat fast. The door opened. A man stepped out. Tall, clean, calm. His shirt neatly tucked in, the scent of expensive cologne escaping into the evening air. But he wasn't smiling. He wasn't frowning either. He just looked curious. His eyes traveled from her dusty slippers, to her tired legs, to her tiny bag, to her face covered in sweat. And something inside him softened instantly. Something warm. Something human. Kambili didn't understand why he was staring at her like that. She raised her chin proudly, even though embarrassment was slowly climbing up her ears. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. Kambili froze. His voice was calm, melodic, almost too mature to be speaking to someone like her. "Yes. I'm fine," she stuttered. He looked at the lonely road behind her, then at the dropping evening sky. "Where are you heading to?" She swallowed. The truth was embarrassing, but she forced herself to speak with confidence. I'm going home." "On foot?" he asked, looking at the long, empty path. She immediately lied. No, someone is coming to pick me." There was absolutely nobody coming. He smiled slightly. Not mockery, just amusement. Then he said quietly, "It's fine. I'll give you a lift." Kambili blinked. Her mind scattered. Everything in her chest felt like it exploded at once. A lift? From this kind of man? This kind of car? Is this the Odogwu she had been waiting for? Is destiny moving? Is her village about to hear the story today? Confusion and excitement danced in her voice. "Yes, sir. I don't have transport money." "I didn't ask you for money," he replied softly. "Just get in." His voice was warm. Safe. Almost too gentle for the kind of rugged men she usually met. She hesitated, her pride wrestling with her nervousness. But something in his eyes felt inviting, trustworthy. So she opened the door slowly and stepped into the car. The moment she sat, silence filled the air. A silence so thick she could hear her heartbeat. She clasped her tiny bag to her chest, unsure how to sit, unsure whether to breathe loudly or silently. He entered the car and closed the door gently. The atmosphere shifted immediately. The scent of his cologne wrapped the air around her. The quiet hum of the AC brushed her face. The interior was clean, soft leather, warm lights. Everything she always imagined an Odogwu's car to look like. He started driving. Slow, smooth, almost floating. For a long time, none of them spoke. Kambili stole glances at him. His hands were strong on the steering. His jawline sharp. His skin caramel. His eyes focused and calm. She swallowed hard. He noticed. "What's your name?" he asked. "Kay." "Kambili," she replied quickly. "That's a beautiful name," he said. Her heart melted. Nobody had ever called her name beautiful. "I'm Chima," he added. "Nice to meet you." The car rolled gently along the empty road, the sunset painting gold across the windshield. Kambili adjusted herself proudly, remembering her imaginary Odogwu standards. Thank you, sir, she said, trying to sound classy. It's not every man that can stop for someone like me. He glanced at her briefly. Why, he asked. She flipped her hair dramatically. Well, I'm not created for broke men. I'm waiting for my Odogwu. Chima's lips curved into a small, curious smile. Oh really? Yes, she answered with pride. He will come. In a black car, rich, handsome, tall, cute, someone who knows my worth. She didn't know she was describing him word for word. But his expression changed. Not in a bad way. More like a man who suddenly became interested and confused. And what makes you think you're ready for this Odogwu? He asked gently. Kambili raised her shoulder high again. Because I deserve him. I know my class. A slow pause. The car grew quieter. Chima didn't laugh. He didn't judge. He just watched her with a softness she didn't understand. Then he said, Kambili, sometimes what we think we deserve is different from what life is preparing for us. Those words sliced through her like a knife. She turned slowly. What do you mean? He didn't answer immediately. He simply kept driving, thinking deeply. Kambili waited, confused, irritated, but strangely eager to hear more. Finally he spoke. You'll understand soon. Kambili whispered his name again inside her heart. Chima. Something about it felt steady, like a name that didn't shake in storms. The car moved slowly onto the expressway,
Do you think we'll make it on time?
the soft hum of the engine making her eyelids
Do you
heavy.
think we'll make it on
For a
time?
long moment, she simply watched
Do
the
you think
city
we'll make it
pass
on time?
by. Shops, people, lives moving as if hers hadn't fallen apart. Chima glanced at her briefly. You look exhausted, he said gently.
Do you think we'll
She
make it
forced
on
a
time?
small smile. It has been a long day. A long life, actually. He chuckled lightly. We all have those days. The ones that feel like a full year. Kambili nodded and turned to the window again. A sharp ache pulled in her chest. He noticed.
We'll make it on time?
Did something happen? He asked. She swallowed. A lot. You don't have to tell me, he said softly. But you can if you want to. His voice was calm. Not pressing. Not curious for gossip. Just
Do you
open.
think we'll make it on time?
Kambili inhaled deeply. Have you ever made a mistake that changed everything? She asked
Do you
quietly.
think we'll make it
Chima nodded. Yes. She turned to him, surprised. You have. Oh, many times, he said with a faint smile. But one in particular nearly destroyed me. Her interest piqued, but she didn't ask further. She didn't want to reopen anyone's wounds. He continued on his own. I trusted the wrong people, he said. I almost lost my business, my peace, even my mother. Kambili's eyes softened. That must have been painful. It was, he whispered. But pain teaches you who is real. Something about his words pierced deep into her spirit. For a few minutes, silence returned. A soothing one. Then Kambili adjusted uncomfortably in the seat. Her wrapper had shifted slightly. Chima noticed. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. No, you're not, he said gently. You're shaking.
Do you think
She
we'll
looked
make
at
it
her
on time?
hands. They were trembling badly. She quickly hid them under her wrapper. Cold, he asked. No, just overwhelmed. Chima nodded, understanding. Life can do that, he said. But you're safe now. That single sentence almost made her cry. Safe. She hadn't felt safe in years. The car slowed at a red light. Chima turned slightly toward her. Kambili, where were you coming from? Her chest tightened. Her voice failed her. He didn't push. He simply waited. Finally, she whispered. A place I should never have gone. He nodded slowly. I understand. But there was something in his eyes. Not judgment. Not pity. Just empathy. Kambili found herself talking, surprising even herself. I thought I found love in the city, she whispered. I thought I met someone who cared. Someone who would marry me. Someone who promised everything. Her breath shook. But he lied, she continued. He lied with everything he had, his words, his gifts, even his smile. Chima's grip tightened slightly on the steering wheel. That kind of hurt, he said quietly, can break a person. Kambili nodded. It broke me. A tear escaped down her cheek. She turned her face quickly to the window, embarrassed. Chima reached gently into the glove compartment and brought out a soft handkerchief. Here. No, I'm fine. Kambili, take it. His voice was warm, assuring, firm in a soft way. She took it slowly and wiped her eyes. Thank you. Chima smiled. You're stronger than you think. They drove in silence again for a few minutes. The city grew quieter. The roads stretched long and empty. And then, a soft breeze entered through the window and touched her face. It carried the scent of rain. Far ahead, The clouds were gathering, dark, heavy, powerful. Chima noticed too. Looks like a storm is coming, he said. Kambili nodded. We should hurry before it starts. He smiled. Don't worry. We will. And even if it rains, we'll still get you home. Those words, we'll still get you home, felt like a promise. She didn't know how long they had been driving when something strange happened. A soft chill brushed her skin. The small hairs on her arm rose. Chima noticed her shiver. Are you cold? No, it's just, I don't know. She looked out of the window again. At that exact moment, a bird flew across the road in front of them. A brown bird with white feathers at the tail. Kambili gasped softly. What is it? Chima asked. She shook her head slowly. That bird. In my village, we believe it means something. What does it mean? She hesitated. That someone's destiny is about to change. Chima raised a brow, smiling lightly. Good or bad? Depends, she whispered. On who the person meets. Chima's eyes softened, amused but thoughtful. Well, he said, then maybe today is a special day for both of us. Both of us. Those words wrapped around her heart. They drove peacefully for a long while until Chima finally spoke again. Kambili, he said gently. Can I ask you something? She nodded. Where were you planning to sleep tonight? Her throat tightened. I didn't know, she confessed. I just wanted to leave the city. He exhaled, his chest rising and falling deeply. You shouldn't be outside alone, he said firmly. It's dangerous. I had nowhere else to go. Now you do, he said. She looked at him, startled. You don't know me, she whispered. No, he said softly. But I know pain when I see it. I know a tired soul. I know a good heart when it's wounded. Their eyes met briefly. A connection formed. Sharp, quiet, unmistakable. Something in the air shifted. Even the car felt warmer. Chima looked back at the road. I will take you to your village, he said. And I will make sure you are safe. Kambili closed her eyes slowly. Not to sleep, but to contain the overwhelming warmth washing through her. For the first time in years, she felt seen. She felt heard. She felt believed. And without saying a word, without understanding how or why, a small voice whispered inside her spirit, this man will matter. Kambili didn't know where the thought came from, or why her chest tightened gently as it echoed in her mind. She looked through the open window of the car. The wind brushed against her face softly as Chima drove, slow and steady, like a man who never rushed through life. The road stretched ahead of them, long, quiet, and coated with reddish dust. The early evening sun cast a golden glow across everything, dipping low behind distant trees. For a moment, she felt safe. Not because she knew him, not because she trusted him, but because the quietness around him felt different. Calmer, steadier. Are you going far? Chima asked gently, eyes still on the road. Yes, sir. Her voice was barely above a whisper. My mother said I should come and stay with her cousin in the village. Just for a while. Chima nodded slowly. Family matters? Kambili hesitated, then simply answered, something like that. Silence settled again. But this time, it wasn't the heavy, tense silence of strangers. It was a soft, thoughtful silence, like both of them were listening to their own thoughts. Chima cleared his throat lightly. Your mother, he said. She must care about you a lot. To send you somewhere safe. Kambili looked out the window quickly, blinking fast. If only he knew the real reason she was being sent away. If only he knew the fear, the shadows, the strange voice that called her name at night. The secret her mother was still hiding. The road curved sharply, leading them away from the main town and deeper into the countryside. The trees grew taller, their branches meeting overhead, forming a green tunnel. Birds hopped from branch to branch. The air smelled of dust, leaves, and distant smoke from cooking fires. Sir, Kambili finally said, I'm sorry if I'm disturbing your journey. Chima shook his head immediately. You're not. Besides, he gave a small smile. The road feels shorter when someone is beside you. Kambili's cheeks warmed slightly, but she didn't respond. She didn't know what to say. No man had ever spoken to her like that. Calm, respectful, gentle. After another long stretch of road, the first small sign of civilization appeared. A broken wooden signpost tilted to one side, barely hanging on its nails. Welcome to Umyanakwa village. The words were carved, but fading. Kambili's stomach tightened. They were close. The air changed first. It grew thicker with the scent of burning firewood and fresh palm wine. Children's distant laughter floated through the trees. Faint drumbeats echoed from far off, steady, slow, rhythmic. "Is this the village?" Chima asked quietly. "Yes," she nodded. "This is it." He slowed the car even more as they entered the first cluster of mud houses. Women carrying basins on their heads paused to stare. A group of boys playing football stopped mid-kick. Old men sitting under a tree lifted their heads with curiosity. A black car in this area, with a young girl inside, driven by a neat, handsome man? Whispers started even before the car reached the center of the village. Kambili shrank slightly into her seat. Villages didn't hide their curiosity. Every pair of eyes watched her, as if they were reading her entire destiny through her face. "Don't mind them," Chima said gently, noticing her discomfort. "It's normal. Villages love stories. And new faces." He said it lightly, but his words tugged something in her chest. They loved stories, and now she was about to become one. The deeper they drove, the more the road narrowed. Chickens scattered away. A young woman pounding yam paused, her pestle hanging midair. An old grandmother muttered something under her breath and touched her beads slowly as the car passed. Kambili felt a chill. It was as if the entire village had been expecting her, as if news of her arrival had traveled before she did. Finally, Chima slowed the car to a complete stop in front of a compound with a tall wooden gate and red hibiscus flowers growing along the fence. "This is the address your mother gave me," he said quietly. Kambili looked at the compound. Strangely silent, strangely still. She clutched her small bag closer. "Thank you, sir," she said softly. Chima looked at her one more time, not with pity, but with something deeper. Concern. Thoughtfulness. A quiet connection neither of them could explain. "If you ever feel unsafe," he said slowly, "or if you need help, look for me. I stay in the next village, Abiel. My workshop is by the main road. Chima Motors. Just ask anyone." Kambili nodded, her heart beating strangely fast. He waited until she opened the door, waited until she stepped out, waited until she walked toward the compound. He didn't drive off immediately. He watched her. He didn't know why, but something in him told him this girl was walking into a place that held more than ordinary troubles. At the wooden gate, Kambili raised her hand to knock, but before her knuckles touched the wood, the gate opened, slowly, by itself. Chima's eyes widened. Kambili froze. The compound was dark, too dark, as if the shadows inside were waiting. A woman's voice drifted out, gentle, calm, but unsettlingly knowing. "Kambili, we've been expecting you." Kambili turned instinctively to look back, to see if Chima was still there. But he had already driven off. Not fast, but with the kind of speed a man uses when his spirit warns him that something is wrong. And for the first time since she woke up that morning, Kambili wondered if coming to this village was a mistake. But before she could step back or rethink her decision, the shadows inside the compound shifted, almost like the walls themselves inhaled her presence. The air grew heavier, thicker, warmer, not in a comforting way, but in that unsettling, spiritual way that makes the skin behind your neck rise. The wooden gate behind her creaked again, as if trying to close on its own. And then, whispers. She wasn't sure at first. The wind? The trees? Her imagination? But no, they were too close, too intentional, too familiar in a way she didn't understand yet. Kambili, Kambili. Her heart slammed against her chest. She looked around. Left, right, behind. No one. Just the echo of her name moving like a soft breeze around her ears. Inside the compound, the woman who had spoken earlier finally came into view. Tall, lean, dark-skinned with sharp cheekbones and tired eyes that looked as if they carried years of secrets. Her wrapper was tied tightly around her waist. Her blouse hung loosely on her shoulders. Her feet were bare, dusty, hardened, used to suffering. She stared at Kambili with a long, unreadable expression. "Come inside," the woman said quietly. "No need to be afraid." But the way she said afraid did the opposite. It made Kambili even more frightened. She stepped forward slowly, suitcase clutched in both hands. As soon as her foot crossed the threshold, the birds in the nearby mango tree stopped singing. Just stopped, abruptly, as if someone pressed a mute button on nature. Kambili paused. The woman noticed the hesitation. Her eyes softened, but there was still a strange calmness in them. I am your mother's cousin, she said. They call me Mama Nkairaka. You can call me Auntie Nkairu. Her voice held no warmth, no smile. Just plain, flat acknowledgement. And you, she added quietly, you have finally come. Something in her tone made Kambili's stomach twist. Finally, like they had been waiting? For her specifically? She opened her mouth to speak, but before any sound came out, a loud shrill scream erupted from the neighboring compound. A deep, terrifying scream. A woman's voice. Raw. Painful. Kambili jumped violently. Auntie Nkairu didn't flinch. Not even a blink. Instead, she tightened her wrapper around her waist. Don't mind that, she said. It happens often. Often, Kambili whispered, trembling. What is happening to her? The woman sighed, almost impatient. She is fighting something she provoked. This village, you will learn it soon, has rules. Some people break them. Another scream tore through the air, this time followed by loud knocking, like someone was slamming against a wall. Kambili took a step back instinctively, terrified. Auntie Nkairu's eyes snapped to her. Don't move. Her voice was sharp, commanding. Something inside the compound shifted again, as if the ground itself was listening. The neighbors' screaming suddenly stopped. Just like that. Silence returned. Heavy, dense, suspicious. Kambili struggled to swallow. Auntie, her voice cracked. Are we safe? Auntie Nkairu finally looked at her properly, really looked. Her gaze traveled slowly from Kambili's dusty slippers to her thin legs, her small frame, her dry lips, her shaking fingers. Then her eyes reached Kambili's face. And stayed there. Longer than normal. Too long. She tilted her head slightly. You, she said softly. You look weaker than I expected. Kambili's brows furrowed. Weaker? How? Auntie Nkairu didn't answer. Instead, she turned and walked deeper into the compound. Come with me, she said. You must wash your feet before nightfall. Otherwise, the land will reject you. The land. Kambili whispered shakily. What does that mean? But the woman didn't respond. Before Kambili followed, she turned slightly to look at the gate, as if hoping to see the road again. Hoping maybe Chima was still there. Hoping this was all a mistake. But the gate had already swung shut by itself. Firmly, almost angrily, as if trapping her inside. A cold chill traveled down her spine. She clutched her small bag tightly and forced herself to follow Auntie Nkairu. The deeper she walked into the compound, the more she noticed unsettling details. A cracked clay pot that seemed to be leaking water even though no one touched it. A small shrine-like corner with feathers and palm fronds tied around a calabash. A string of red beads hanging above the doorway. Beads that vibrated gently as she passed under them, even though there was no wind. And worst of all, a small carved wooden face nailed to the wall, staring directly at her. Kambili froze again. She didn't know much about spiritual things, but she knew when something was wrong. Deeply wrong. Auntie Nkairu finally stopped at the entrance of a small room. You will stay here, she said simply. Kambili looked around nervously. The room was dark, almost too dark, as if the sunlight outside was forbidden from entering. The air inside smelled of old oil, dust, and something else she couldn't identify. Something rotten, faint, but disturbing. Auntie, she whispered. Why does the room look like this? Auntie Nkairu turned to her with slow, deliberate seriousness. Because, she said quietly, you must not sleep in light tonight. Kambili's heart dropped into her stomach. Why? Auntie Nkairu took a step closer. Her voice became cold. Too cold. Because something will come looking for you. Kambili gasped. Her knees wobbled. What will come? Auntie Nkairu leaned close to her ear. Her breath was warm. Her voice was low. Whatever followed you here. Followed you because you are carrying something bigger than you think. The compound grew quiet after dusk. Too quiet. Kambili could still feel Mama Nkairaka's warning echoing in her chest. Her skin prickled as the last traces of sunlight slipped behind the palm trees. She entered Mama Kambili's hut and sat on the bamboo bed, trying to steady her breathing. Outside, the village was calm, almost peaceful. But inside her spirit, something churned, something ancient, something she didn't understand. The air shifted. A cold breeze drifted in through the window, carrying the faint scent of camwood and burnt herbs. Kambili shivered. Mama, I want to sleep, she whispered. But Mama Kambili shook her head slowly. eyes serious. "No. Before sleep, you must wash," she said. "I don't know what followed you from that city, but your spirit needs cleansing." She took a clay bowl filled with water infused with bitter leaves, scent leaves, camwood powder, and a pinch of ash from the family shrine. "Kambili, undress to your wrapper." Kambili hesitated but obeyed. Mama Kambili dipped a small calabash into the bowl and began pouring the cold mixture on Kambili's head, murmuring under her breath. Ancient words, old words, words Kambili had never heard before. As the water ran down her skin, she felt something detach from her, as if invisible fingers were peeling away a heavy blanket she didn't know she was carrying. Her body trembled. "Mama, what is happening?" she whispered. "Shoo," Mama said. "Let it wash." For a moment, Kambili felt light, free, almost reborn. But then, the footsteps. Tap, tap, tap. Kambili's heart stopped. "Mama, who is that?" Mama Kambili turned sharply. The footsteps weren't human. They were slow, dragging, uneven, like something walking on the edge of the compound barefoot. No one else should be awake at this hour. Tap, tap, tap. Mama Kambili raised the lantern, her eyes narrowing. "Kambili," she whispered, "get inside. Now." But Kambili didn't move. The footsteps grew closer, closer, until they stopped right outside the hut door. Her breath caught in her throat. The door cloth fluttered even though there was no wind. Then, silence. Dead, heavy silence. Mama Kambili quickly grabbed charcoal from the hearth and marked Kambili's forehead with a cross. "Whatever is walking outside," she muttered, "may it pass you by." Later that night, after the cleansing, Kambili lay on her mat, trying to sleep. The lantern flickered beside her. Mama Kambili slept deeply on the other side of the room. The compound was silent, too silent. Kambili slowly closed her eyes. But just as sleep began to pull her under, something moved. A shadow. Not a person. Not an animal. A dark shape gliding across the wall, but there was no one standing there. It was tall, thin, watching. Kambili froze. Her voice stuck in her throat. The shadow leaned forward, as though sniffing her. Then she heard it. A whisper. Faint, broken, familiar. "Kambili. Kambili." Her blood went cold. At some point, exhaustion dragged her into sleep. But her dreams were not peaceful. She found herself standing in the middle of a vast river. The water was black, swirling violently around her ankles. From the fog, a woman's voice spoke. "Kambili, do not fear what is following you. Fear rejecting what was sent to protect you." Kambili turned and saw a figure in the mist. Tall, calm, bright. Someone stepping toward her. Someone whose presence chased the darkness away. She squinted. She knew that silhouette. Chima, she whispered in the dream. The figure didn't answer. But he stretched out a hand glowing with soft golden light. And the darkness receded instantly. Then the voice spoke again. "Your path has shifted. Your destiny has opened. But fate does not bend twice." The river roared. The shadow from earlier appeared behind her, trying to pull her back. But a flash of light, like a burst of sunrise, struck it down. And when she looked again, the shining figure was gone. Kambili gasped awake. She shot up, sweating, her breathing heavy, her heart racing. The shadow was gone. The footsteps had stopped. The night was calm again. But her dream stayed with her like a drum beating inside her chest. She pressed her palm to her heart. "Chima," she whispered. A realization washed over her, warm, terrifying, undeniable. Chima did not enter her life by accident. He was woven into something deeper, something spiritual, something destined. Outside, a sudden breeze lifted the curtain, but this time it felt gentle, safe, as though something unseen was guarding the hut. For the first time since the road incident, peace settled over Kambili. And she knew, whatever is coming next, Chima is part of it, whether she is ready or not. The night had barely recovered from its last shiver when Kambili stepped out of the room the next morning, her head still heavy from the strange dreams and the echoes of unseen footsteps. She tied her faded wrapper tighter around her waist and approached the small backyard where Mama Kambili was sorting herbs with trembling fingers. But she wasn't alone. Standing beside her mother was Chima. Kambili stopped. Her breath folded into her chest. He looked different in the morning light. Calmer, clearer, like a man standing exactly where he was meant to be. Mama Kambili leaned slightly on her staff as she studied him, her eyes narrowed but not in suspicion, in recognition. A slow wind, gentle yet deliberate, blew between them. The same wind that had followed Kambili the night before. The same wind that paused at her mother's shrine wall. The same wind that circled her dreams. Now, it brushed Chima's face. Very softly, as though greeting him. Mama Kambili straightened. Her fingers stopped shaking. Her voice dropped, quiet, low, sacred. You again, she whispered, but not to him. She was speaking to something unseen. Chima blinked. Ma, you said you wanted to speak with me? She raised her palm and motioned for silence. Then she turned to Kambili. Her eyes softened, the way they soften only when a mother sees destiny trying to enter her daughter's life. Whatever followed you here, Mama Kambili murmured, is standing far behind now. Something else, something stronger, walked in with this man. Kambili's heart tumbled inside her chest. She looked at Chima, and there was a stillness around him, a strange calm. A quiet light that didn't belong to any ordinary person. The same presence that protected her during the night. The same presence that stopped the shadows from crossing her doorway. The same presence she felt when he first offered her the ride. It was all connected. He was connected. She swallowed. Her voice barely existed. Mama, who is he? Mama Kambili's gaze remained on Chima, her old eyes holding something like awe. Not a stranger, she said. Not anymore. From that day, something subtle but magnetic grew between them. Not loud, not rushed, but slow, warm, steady. Every morning, Chima came by, pretending he was only checking on Mama Kambili. But everyone saw who his eyes drifted to. He brought firewood. He repaired the loose hinge on their door. He fetched water from the stream. And each time, he found small excuses to stay longer. Kambili noticed how he looked at her, not with hunger, not with charm, but with care. Real care. The kind that melts even the strongest woman. When she laughed, he smiled. When she worried, he listened. When she prayed, he stood quietly beside her. He walked with her to the market. He waited for her to return. He never once forced a conversation, yet she always wanted to talk to him. He made her feel safe, not because he was strong, because he was gentle. And every night, the spiritual whispers grew calmer around her. The dreams grew clearer. The shadow that chased her disappeared completely. The unseen footsteps stopped. A new message began forming in her spirit. You are not alone. You were never meant to walk alone. You were led here to be found. One evening, as dusk painted the village in amber light, Mama Kambili sat outside with her staff leaning by her chair. Chima and Kambili worked together washing cassava, their hands brushing occasionally, sending small warmth through her chest each time. Mama watched them, long quiet, studying. Then she called them both. They sat before her, unsure, nervous, yet connected in a way neither could deny. Mama Kambili placed her hand on her daughter's arm. Kambili, she said softly, every darkness that tried to follow you has fallen, not because you are lucky, but because you are seen, because you are destined. She turned to Chima. And you, her voice trembled slightly, you were guided here. The same spirit that warned her brought you. Chima lowered his head respectfully. She inhaled deeply. Her hands, old but steady, reached out and held theirs together, gently pressing one hand into the other. My daughter, she whispered, take this man if your heart agrees. His presence cleans your path. A tear escaped Kambili's eye. Chima's fingers tightened around hers, not hard, just secure. A quiet blessing, a mother's approval, a spiritual confirmation, a destiny aligning. The sun rose that morning as if the heavens themselves had been waiting for this day. For the first time in years, the village woke up before dawn, women sweeping their compounds, children running with palm fronds, drummers testing their talking drums, and elders polishing their staff of office. Word had spread across communities, towns, neighboring villages, and even the city. Kambili is marrying today. The girl who carried darkness and conquered it. The one who survived what would have swallowed another. The wedding was no ordinary wedding. It was a festival, a celebration of deliverance, destiny, and grace. By mid-morning, the dusty village road shook gently under the weight of long convoys of sleek cars arriving from the city. Black SUVs, shining sedans, tinted cars, one after another, like a royal parade. People stepped out dressed in shimmering lace, polished shoes, gold jewelry, and elegant head ties. They had come for Chima, a young man whose integrity was known far and wide, and they had come to witness the mysterious girl he chose. The villagers whispered among themselves. City people have entered. Is this not the biggest wedding we have ever seen? Then came another procession. The chiefs, elders, titled men and titled women, walking with slow, dignified steps. Their staffs tapped the earth rhythmically, announcing royalty. Their presence alone turned the event into history. People stepped aside, bowing in respect. If Grace could wear a wrapper, it was Mama Kambili. She stepped out of her hut dressed in the richest iro and buba she had ever owned. Deep wine velvet, embroidered with fine gold. Her head tie shone like sunrise. Her beads sat on her neck like she was born from royalty. People whispered, "Is this not Mama Kambili? She looks like a queen today, oh." God truly changes stories. Mama Kambili walked with gentle pride, her heart full. Her daughter, the one she cried for, prayed for, defended, was about to be crowned with joy. Then the drums stopped. A hush fell. Every head turned. Kambili stepped out, and the world seemed to pause. Her gown, long, flowing, and breathtaking, hugged her tiny frame with elegance. The beadwork shimmered softly. Her skin glowed. Her eyes were bright with quiet confidence. Children gasped. Women covered their mouths in awe. Men blinked twice. They had known her as the girl mocked, the girl whispered about. But today, she walked like Destiny's daughter. Someone whispered, "Are we sure this is the same Kambili? Not God day beautify person like this." Drummers struck their drums suddenly. GBA, GBA, GBA. The dancers leapt into the air. Ululations echoed from every corner. The celebration erupted. As Kambili and Chima walked into the center of the square, hands gently touching, a sudden calm wind swept through the village. Not violent, not frightening, just soft, gentle, warm. It carried no dust, no noise, just peace. At that same moment, a beam of sunlight broke through the clouds above them, resting perfectly on their joined hands. People gasped. Some fell to their knees. Some whispered in fear. Others shouted in praise. Mama Kambili covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. The chief priest murmured, "The light has defeated everything that followed her." The elders nodded, trembling slightly. Whatever shadow had chased her, whatever spirit had tried to cling to her, whatever dream had tormented her, it broke. Fully, completely, forever. Chima's mother walked up to Kambili, placed both hands on her shoulders, and smiled through tears. "My daughter, from today, you are ours." We did not gain a bride. We gained a blessing. His father embraced her too, proudly. The entire family surrounded her, singing, dancing, laughing. Kambili's heart swelled. For the first time in her life, she felt fully chosen. By evening, as the sun dipped low and lanterns lit the compound, villagers gathered around and said, "This is the girl who fought darkness and married Grace. Her story will be told for generations." And the drums continued late into the night. The feast flowed. The dancers danced. And Kambili, the once mocked girl who believed in destiny, stood at the center of it all, transformed, victorious, crowned with love. Moral lesson of Kambili's story. Kambili's journey reminds us of a truth many people forget. Life does not judge you by how you start. Life judges you by what you carry inside. She was mocked. She was called ugly. She was rejected. She battled shadows no one understood. She faced nights that could have swallowed her. But she refused to bow. She held on to hope, even when hope looked foolish. She believed in her own tomorrow, even when today laughed at her. And because she refused to give up, light found her, love found her, destiny honored her. Her story teaches, never look down on anyone, not even yourself. Your value is never defined by how people see you, but how God sees you. Sometimes the journey is dark because the breakthrough is great. What is yours will always find its way to you, no matter who doubts you. Grace can beautify what the world calls worthless. Kambili did not just marry Chima. She married victory, freedom, restoration, and the destiny meant for her since birth. And this is your reminder today. When it's your time, no darkness can stop your light. If this story touched your heart, if Kambili's journey from darkness to light moved you in any way, Don't just watch and go. Drop a comment. Tell us the lesson you learned. Like the video. It helps our stories reach more people. Share it. Let someone out there receive hope today. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful story on Tales by Omo. And finally, invite at least one friend to join our growing community of deep, meaningful African storytelling. Your engagement keeps these stories alive. Your support keeps this channel growing. Your voice keeps the fire burning. See you in the next tale, because here every story carries a message. Bye guys.